Well, hey, it's Heidi. Today, stay tuned. We are going to talk about what's the proper way to eat asparagus. The answer is going to surprise you. It's a little bit tricky, so stay tuned. Well, hello, welcome. You're just in time. We are going to talk about asparagus. It's Heidi Dulabon, international cultural consultant and etiquette expert, and we are going to talk about what is the etiquette to eat asparagus. I think you just might be surprised. Okay, so asparagus, who doesn't love asparagus? Almost no cal, super low, like one spear of asparagus has, I think, 3 calories if you don't add a lot of stuff to them. You know, they're high in fiber and they're no fat, full of all kinds of things that are good for you. So asparagus, been around how long, do you ask? Well, they say about 3,000 years asparagus has been around and we've been eating them. They found depictions of asparagus bundles in ancient Egyptian friezes. You know, back in ancient Greece, they loved asparagus. Socrates, yes, that Socrates, the doctor, he used asparagus for medicinal purposes. He treated diarrhea, sorry, not very nice dinner conversation, and urinary issues, especially with pain, with asparagus. And you know, some people today think asparagus has some sort of diuretic qualities. I don't know, consult your dietitian or your doctor on that. But Socrates thought it worked in his day, and then in ancient Rome, they too used it for some medicinal purposes, and they thought it was an aphrodisiac. So there you go with that. More asparagus, please. So Julius Caesar loved asparagus. Yes, and it is told that he especially liked them with melted butter. Well, thank you, Julius Caesar, because that was unusual in his day. It was mostly olive oil. So I think maybe next time you dip your asparagus in melted butter, think of our friend Julius Caesar. And then, you know, his heir after his death, his heir, Emperor Augustus, he too was crazy about asparagus, and they even would pack them in ice in the north of Italy in the Alps so they could have them for some certain times in the winter. Yes, and then when they wanted some in the winter, they would have runners running, you know, over 500 miles from the Alps all the way down to Rome. So, you know, that's when you love asparagus. And it said that Emperor Augustus also had some ships built just to take asparagus swiftly around the Roman Empire because, you know, you want to eat them when they're as fresh as you can. So we've been enjoying asparagus for a long time. So enough of the cool origin stories, Heidi. And if you follow my channel, you know, I just love to find out the origin story. There's always so much more to know. So asparagus. What is the etiquette of eating asparagus? Well, the answer is, it depends. It's a bit of a tricky question. While you're friends with this trivia. Okay, so here is the very proper etiquette. If you are served asparagus as a course by itself, and many people, and especially very fine dining, there is an asparagus course. And that is what I have today. I have a nice asparagus course. I've got a little lemon on here, and I have my, you know, nod to our friend Julius Caesar, the melted butter, and I've got a little aioli on there. So let's just say we are dining with the Queen in one of her palaces. Oh, let's just say Windsor. Why not? And we're served this. And everyone's looking at us to see if we know the proper etiquette. And well, of course we do. We've watched this video. Here it is. Do I need the knife and fork when it is a course by itself? The answer is no. It's finger food. Who knew? Who knew? Asparagus is finger food when it is a course by itself. So we would simply pick up a spear, and we could either dip it in the aioli, dip it in the melted butter, and take a bite. And then you could eat it all the way down. And if you get to the end and it's a bit woody, you just could leave that end and you just put the little end on the side of your plate. Finger food. Fancy asparagus is finger food. Okay, so now let's just say you are being served dinners any place, home, a restaurant, I don't know, Buckingham Palace this time. And it is sort of an accompaniment. Let's just say you have a piece of chicken, maybe some sort of potatoes, and asparagus. Well, in that case, no, guess what? It loses finger food status, and we have to pick up the knife and fork because it's an accompaniment. It's on a plate with other things that we need the knife and fork for. So we'd pick up our knife and fork, and we would simply cut it, and we would eat it just like we would any other thing. So is that just, how about that? I mean, who knew? The way you eat asparagus depends on whether it's served alone, finger food, or as an accompaniment, back to the knife and fork. So I'd like to just tell you just a little something quickly because asparagus is kind of near and dear to me. When I was a young kid growing up in East Central Illinois, my dad, we were in agriculture, my family, and my dad had a whole field, and I mean acres of asparagus. And it is such an interesting crop. You know, people ask me, Heidi, why is asparagus so expensive? Let me tell you, I have firsthand knowledge. Asparagus is a hand crop. You hand plant. Even today, it's come a long way since I was a kid, but nothing's changed as far as that goes. You take these things, these roots, these called crowns, and you hand plant each plant. Each one of these had a crown, and you hand plant these. And guess what? It does not fully start producing a full crop for 5 to 7 years. So hand planting. My dad would hire people to come in every summer and pick the asparagus starting in the spring and pick it until it was finished for the season. And he had me out there too. And let me just tell you what that was like. So we planted these, hand planted, until we got a full crop. Was 5 or 6 years. It can be 7. And then what happens? Well, in my day, when I was a kid, we wore a box with a strap around our neck, and we had a little knife, but I didn't use it. It was easier to snap, just snap. So you bent over, you snapped the asparagus way down by the dirt, and it snapped, and you knew it was nice and fresh. And we picked it when they'd be about this tall and about as wide as a pencil. I'm a bit of an asparagus snob because I worked on it so long, you know. So we would snap it and put it in this box around our neck, and then we would dump it at the end of the fields. We were paid by weight, how much these asparagus weigh. Now today they've gotten a little smarter. They have a longer knife. They have a basket on their side. It's a little bit better than bending over. It's back-breaking work. And here is more trivia to wow your friends with, or maybe on Jeopardy. Asparagus likes a sandy soil, needs a lot of drainage, but after a good rain, asparagus can grow over 6 inches overnight, easily. You can almost watch it grow. So during the growing season, we'd be out there picking. Good rain, that next morning, it grows back, and we'd be out there picking it again. So it's just such an interesting crop, hand planted, hand harvested. And the life of that one crown that we waited 5 or 6 years to start really producing, well, it has about a 15, maybe you could get 20 years, but it starts getting woody. It's such an interesting crop. Once you pick it, you need to get it cool, or it can go really fibrous. So if you've ever had asparagus that's not super tasty and it's fibrous, it wasn't kept cool enough as soon as it was picked. So, I mean, bear with me. I am kind of a former professional asparagus picker. So it's back-breaking work. We ate a ton of it at home. We'd say, oh, asparagus again. Oh, thank you, Mom. But no, now, I just love it. I hope you love it. Cool stories. Thank you, Socrates. Thank you, Julius Caesar. And now, just a little nod. What do you pair with asparagus? Well, how about a glass of champagne? And I'm just going to make a little toast to my dad. All those times out there in that asparagus field, picking those things in the heat of the summer, all that heavy weight when that box thing around my neck. And I said, gosh, Dad, can't I go to summer camp or something like that? And he said, no, Heidi, you're building character. Well, I'm full of character, evidently, because we worked pretty hard. So here's a nod to my dad and all the character he helped me build. Thank you for joining me here today, and I hope you tune in, and we have many more videos in the future. Please be so kind. Let me know what you think about this. Like the video. Drop me a comment. What would you like to hear? What do you think about how do you eat asparagus? Love it if you'd be so kind as to please subscribe to this channel if you'd be so kind. So happy asparagus eating, everyone. Cheers to you. And as I always say, please be kind. Thank you.